Thanks a lot, Jenna. Well, the U.S. stock market has lost 1,417 points, a decline of nearly $3 trillion in value since President Bush signed into law a $700 billion financial industry bailout. Let's look at some sectors and the stocks of energy. They've lost 220 points, declining $397 billion. The financial sector's lost nearly 1,500 points, a decline of $843 billion in value. But one sector that's held up the best in this sell-off has been healthcare. In fact, the healthcare sector has lost $207 billion, or 773 points. And just about an hour ago, Wachovia raised the U.S. healthcare sector to overweight from market weight. Joining me this morning to discuss why healthcare seems to be holding up is Philip Micali. He's the CEO and founding partner of bwell-informed, LLC. It's a health education company. And Dr. Stephen Greer, the founder and CEO of the Healthcare Channel. Good morning, guys.
Morning. Morning.
Dr. Greer, tell us what the next administration has to do to change the whole face of the healthcare industry.
Well, I don't think a whole lot has to change fundamentally. We can still stay in a recession and these healthcare stocks will recover because the fundamentals are still good. But last week we just saw a good string of earnings from Amgen, Lilly, Bristol Myers Squibb, Genentech. Obviously the major panic selling we saw in the beginning of October took everything down. But I think the key here is that the recession and the economy can still be bad, and a lot of large blue chip names like Genentech and Johnson & Johnson will recover within this year, I think.
But Philip, that's the stock market point of view. From the healthcare point of view, even when we had boom times, we still had a whole lot of Americans who weren't covered. From your point of view, what has to be done, particularly on the ground?
Yeah, I think the main issue is that there has to be more people covered. There has to be more people in the risk pool, if you will. To 300 million people, there's about 50 million that aren't covered at all at any one time. So if we can reduce the uninsured and underinsured, and frankly, right-size the folks that are overinsured, folks that have too much insurance and are consumers that aren't buying value. They're basically spending lots of money unnecessarily.
So this brings us up to the topic of socialism or socialistic system, national health care. It's been heavily debated. Obviously, if you believe in the polls, it looks like this is something that Americans are willing to tinker around with. Should we be afraid of that?
No, I don't think so. I think when you talk about socialized medicine, there's a lot of misconceptions about it. Full coverage is considered, I guess, socialized medicine. We will never have a system in our country where the government will provide the health care. Maybe the coverage will be mandated somehow, either through individual mandates or business mandates, but it's full cover, which connotes socialism.
Stephen, where do you draw the line between socialism and capitalism with respect to health care?
Well, it's a simple definition, is whether the health care costs of a company are put under the budget of the government. And if that's the case, like Canada, UK, Germany, France, everywhere, then it becomes socialized. Now, the problem there is then you have to do rationing because there's not enough money to go around. So expensive therapies like the new biotech drugs in England that just recently have been not reimbursed, so you can't get those over there, or expensive procedures like CAT scans or renal dialysis, so you have to wait extensive lines to get those. So the real problem is once you socialize it, then you start to ration and eliminate.
Those are the horror stories that we hear over here, people waiting 6 months for just common procedures. Also, on the state level, it seems like the states are having real difficulty funding. They're talking about layoffs. Where does that play in this equation?
Well, it's failed recently in the recent states that have tried it here. It's just too expensive. So now, having said that, I don't think, no matter what the rhetoric is before the election, I don't think Obama has a chance in heck of getting it approved because of the economic situation we're in now. So I don't think anyone should really fear socialized medicine if Barack Obama is elected, because it's just not a reality.
But you like this area as one to invest in right now?
Yes, the healthcare sector has been outperforming tremendously compared to the overall market and should continue to do so.
Any particular stocks?
Well, sure. I think Genentech's a no-brainer. It has an offer to be acquired by Roche, and the only reason it's not at that takeout price is because people think the deal won't go through. They don't think Roche will be able to borrow the $40 billion, but that should happen once the credit markets unfreeze. Boston Scientific is another stock that's been beaten up over unfounded reasons.
And you think, well, I think there might be some founded reasons,
well,
but...
It was the balance sheet. People thought they couldn't pay their debt, and in this market, anything with the word balance sheet scares everyone, but that was...
But there's some question marks about stents and the direction that they're going to go in. I want to get back to you, Philip, because it's interesting. Stephen said something about the fact that we won't ever go into socialized medicine. You educate people. How would you educate the public on this topic, because it is extremely confusing?
It is very confusing, and really we're trying, usually folks are sold health insurance and they don't buy it, so we're really trying to create a real consumer market in the, for folks looking for health insurance, to actually look at how a high deductible plan maybe might have a much lower premium. So that's really the effort, is to help people understand their options and how they fare out over time.
And how do you think they will fare out?
I think they'll fare out well, because there's a lot of different products in the marketplace for health insurance, and I think now that people are looking at their own personal balance sheet and trying to protect their cash, they will make sure they have health insurance.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, both of you guys. Really appreciate it. Micali is the CEO and founding partner of Be Well Informed, LLC, and Dr. Stephen Greer is the founder and CEO of the Healthcare Channel. Coming up, the world market.